If you were born before 1955, I need you to stop what you are doing right now and stay with me for the next 10 minutes, because there is a very real chance that the Social Security check landing in your account every single month is smaller than what you were actually owed, not by a little. I am talking about hundreds of dollars a month, potentially thousands of dollars every year, sitting in a government calculation that was done wrong, and nobody from the Social Security Administration is going to pick up the phone and call you to tell you about it. That is not how this system works. The system sends you a number, you accept the number, and the money you were supposed to receive just quietly disappears. Today I am going to show you exactly why this happens, how to find out if it happened to you, and the specific steps you take to fix it before another month goes by. Stay until the end. The last step is the one almost nobody takes, and it is the only step that actually moves money from the SSA system into your account. Before I get into the details, let me tell you about something that I think about a lot. A retired mechanic named Harold had been collecting Social Security for 9 years. Every month, $1,412 hit his account. He never questioned it. He figured the government knew what they were doing. Then his daughter, who works in accounting, sat down with him one afternoon and pulled up his Social Security earnings statement online. She found it in about 4 minutes. 3 years in the mid-1980s were showing $0 in earned income, even though Harold had worked the whole time. He had his W-2s in a shoebox in the closet. They filed a correction. The SSA confirmed the error. His monthly benefit went up by over $300, and he received a retroactive payment for the months since he had originally filed. Harold's story is not unusual. It is, in fact, far more common than most people realize, and the reason it keeps happening is the same every time. Nobody told him to check. Here is the foundation of everything I am going to explain today. The Social Security Administration calculates your monthly retirement benefit using your highest 35 years of earnings from your entire working life. They take those 35 years, adjust them for inflation, average them out, and run them through a formula to arrive at what is called your primary insurance amount. That is the number your check is based on. Now here is where the problem starts. Every dollar in that calculation comes from earnings records that were reported by your employers, often going back to the 1970s, the 1960s, even earlier in some cases. The SSA themselves have acknowledged making approximately $2.5 billion in underpayments in 2022 alone. And according to research published by Social Security Intelligence, nearly half of all earnings record mismatches in the system are never corrected, because the people affected never knew to look. If even 1 year of your working life is missing from that record, your benefit is permanently lower. If 2 or 3 years are missing, the gap compounds. One analyst ran the numbers and found that 5 missing years of earnings history can reduce a monthly Social Security check by over $150. Over a 20-year retirement, that is $36,000 gone. Not because you did anything wrong, because nobody told you to open the file. Now let me add the second layer to this. Because for people born before 1955, there is a specific calculation issue that has quietly cost millions of retirees a significant portion of what they were promised. And it comes down to one date that most people never fully understood. If you were born anywhere between 1943 and 1954, your full retirement age, according to the Social Security Administration, is 66. Not 65, not 67. 66, exactly. That is the age at which you are entitled to 100% of your earned benefit. Here is the problem. The Social Security Administration allowed people to claim as early as age 62, and millions of people did exactly that, especially during years when jobs were uncertain or health was declining. What many of those people were never clearly told is that claiming before your full retirement age does not just give you smaller checks for a few years until the number catches up. It permanently reduces your benefit for the rest of your life. If you claimed at 62 with a full retirement age of 66, your monthly benefit was reduced by 25% permanently. On a benefit that should have been $2,000 a month, that is $500 every single month, you will never get back for as long as you live. Now I want to be direct about something. If you have already been claiming for years and you claimed early, I am not here to make you feel bad. What I am here to do is show you that there may still be money you have not recovered for reasons that have nothing to do with when you filed. Because here is what most people do not know. Even if you claimed at the right time, at 66, at your full retirement age, the check you are receiving right now may still be wrong, because the earnings record feeding that calculation may have never been corrected. And that is the fixable part. That is the part the SSA will actually do something about if you bring them the proof. Now, let me tell you exactly who is most likely to have money sitting there unclaimed right now. Because if you recognize yourself in this list, you need to go check this week without delay. First, anyone who worked for a small business, particularly during the 1980s and 1990s. During that era, a great deal of payroll was handled manually by an owner working from a paper ledger, and honest mistakes were far more frequent than they are today. Second, anyone who has ever been self-employed, freelancers, independent contractors, anyone who operated their own business and paid self-employment tax. The way those earnings get reported leaves considerable room for a year to be recorded at an incorrect amount or to fail to show up at all. Third, anyone who changed employers frequently, every single time you began working for a new company, that represented another opportunity for someone in a payroll department to mistype your information and send your earnings somewhere they did not belong. And fourth, and this one is significant and consistently overlooked, women who changed their last name following a marriage or divorce when that name was never properly updated with Social Security. If the name your employer submitted does not align with the name on file with Social Security, those earnings can fail to attach to your record entirely. Years of genuine work, real money you earned through your own effort, simply not counted toward your payment. If you have changed your name at any point during your life, this is one of the most important things you will ever take the time to verify. In May of this year, a report from a government oversight office confirmed that thousands of widows and widowers had been underpaid due to a calculation error involving a process called the Widows Indexing computation. The SSA itself acknowledged the problem. The Inspector General estimated that roughly 40% of surviving spouses reviewed during that period may have been affected by similar errors. 40%. That is not a rounding error. That is a systemic problem that the government quietly acknowledges when pressed, but does not go out of its way to publicize. So here is exactly what to do, and this is the part you should be writing down. Step 1. Go to ssa.gov and create or log in to your My Social Security account. It is completely free. It is the official government site and takes roughly 5 to 10 minutes to set up. Once you are in, you are looking for your earnings history, which is a year-by-year record of every dollar that was ever reported to Social Security under your name and your Social Security number. Step 2. Go through that record carefully. You are specifically looking for 3 things: years where the figure is noticeably lower than what you genuinely earned, years that show $0 when you know you were actively working, and gaps anywhere in the timeline of your working life. Pay closest attention to your highest earning years, because those are the ones feeding directly into your 35-year average. An error in a high earning year damages your check far more significantly than an error in a lower one. Step 3. Gather your documentation. Pull out your old tax returns, your W-2 forms, your pay stubs, anything that shows what you actually earned in the years that look wrong on your record. And here is something most people have no awareness of. Even if you discarded your old paperwork years ago, Social Security itself is able to retrieve copies of your W-2 forms going all the way back to 1978 at no charge, when the purpose is correcting your earnings record. A missing shoebox of old tax documents is not a valid reason to leave this money uncollected. Step 4. File Form ssa.7008. That is the official request for correction of earnings record, and it is available directly on the SSA website. You fill it out, attach your documentation, and send it in. You can also do this by calling the SSA at 1-800-772-1213 and asking them to open an earnings record review, or you can go into your local Social Security office in person and bring your paperwork with you. Step 5. Be patient but stay persistent. The correction timeline typically runs between 10 and 90 days. Once the process is complete, your benefit gets recalculated and the higher amount begins appearing in your payments going forward. If there is a balance owed to you, they will calculate the back pay and issue it as a lump sum direct deposit. Now here's something important about timing. There is a general guideline that earnings are most easily corrected within 3 years, 3 months, and 15 days from the end of the tax year in which those wages were paid. That means the older the error, the harder it can be to fix and the more documentation you are going to need. This is not a reason to panic. It is a reason to move on this sooner rather than later. If Harold had waited another 5 years to find that shoebox, those 1980s earnings might have been impossible to recover. There are also several additional ways this document and the steps surrounding it can raise your payment beyond simply correcting an error. If your record still contains 0 years among your top 35, every additional year you work, even part-time, even later in life, has the potential to displace one of those zeros and substitute a real figure in its place. For some people, one additional year of work is worth considerably more to their monthly payment than they ever imagined. If you have not yet begun collecting your benefit, every year you delay past your full retirement age increases your payment by roughly 8% annually, all the way up to age 70. That is a guaranteed growth rate you simply cannot find anywhere else. And if those delayed retirement credits were applied to your record, verify that they were calculated correctly when you did file. Errors in that calculation are less common, but they do happen. And if you are married, divorced after a lengthy marriage, or widowed, there may be a larger benefit available to you than the one you are currently collecting. A spouse may be eligible to claim up to half of the higher earner's benefit amount. A widow or widower retains whichever of the two checks is larger. People leave staggering sums behind here simply because they assume the payment they are already receiving is the only one available to them. One final and serious caution: you should never have to pay anyone to do any of this. Not a flat fee, not a percentage of your recovery, nothing at all. Checking your statement and submitting a correction is a free process, and you carry it out directly with Social Security. If you ever encounter a company promising to recover your Social Security money in exchange for a cut of it, end that call immediately. The only resource you need is the real ssa.gov. The Social Security Administration is not your adversary. Most of the people who work there are trying to do their jobs. But the system is enormous. It is complex, and it was built on decades of paper records and manual entries. The honest reality is that it makes mistakes that cost real people real money. The burden of catching those mistakes does not fall on the SSA. It falls on you, and the only way you catch them is by looking. If you were born before 1955, your full retirement age was 66. Your benefit was supposed to be calculated on your 35 highest earning years, correctly recorded and correctly indexed. Before you close this video, go to ssa.gov, log into your My Social Security account, and look at your earnings history. All of it. Every year going back to the beginning. If you see something that does not look right, it probably is not. The form to fix it is SSA 7008, and the number to call is 1-800-772-1213. Send this video to one person you love who was born before 1955 and is collecting Social Security right now. One share takes 10 seconds. If their earnings record has even one missing year, finding it could put over $1,000 a year back into their account permanently. Money the SSA has been calculating wrong without sending a single letter to tell them about it. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so the next video reaches you the moment it is published. I will see you in the next one.